Why aren't we doing more of that? Why aren't we doing a little bit of an escape or just something to just kind of help us? Is it the pressure to be productive? Like, what is it?
Yeah. We're shamed by society for having hobbies. We're shamed by ourselves for having hobbies, and we're shamed by the relationships in our lives for having hobbies.
You think so? Because I don't know if I've experienced that.
You tell yourself you're too busy, you got too much going on, I'm not going to take the time to do what I want to do for me. So you're shaming yourself because you should be doing something else.
Some of your meetings could be on the golf course, could they?
Not in this particular case,
Okay.
not yet. Once upon a time in America, a man could earn a decent living wage, take care of home and family, and still find time and the financial means for hobbies or distractions, or even ways to reset and rejuvenate. My guests, Jamon Elder, Ladre Gilbert, Nick Pierre, and myself, are discussing this so-called luxury we can no longer afford. It seems that today we work and go home. That's it. We do our very best in facing our responsibilities, but hardly, if ever, schedule time for ourselves. I remember being in a very sad relationship once, and a friend told me that love is overrated. Just do what you're supposed to do as a man, go home, and shut up. So is chasing happiness something we should abandon, or can we make it part of the equation that completes us as men? Do these hobbies or distractions allow us to recalibrate our minds, our hearts? How important are they in our daily lives? Join us for this thought-provoking conversation. And as always, email us your feedback at manhoodmatterspodcast@gmail.com. Welcome to Manhood Matters. Let's get to it.
In the living room, finds his voice. 4 souls gathered, making a choice. Speak less, great, no sugar to cope. From a black man's lens, each word a keynote. Mental storms, physical strife, hustling hard, the pulse of life, race love. And the entrepreneurs learn real talk, echoes of fine time. Experts and friends, a powerful blend, tackling issues that never end. From our perspective, raw and true. A podcast for all, but our point of view.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming back one more time and having this conversation with me. I appreciate you guys being here.
Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No doubt, man.
Once again.
You know.
And of course, newcomer here, Young Blood.
Thanks for having me.
This is something that offline G and I were talking about. And I said, we talk about men's health a lot. We talk about a lot of things that we need to have. And when he brought up something that seems really simple and really basic, and it's just hobbies. Growing up and even watching our parents and their parents, men had hobbies. And that seems to be something that's just lost. So what do you guys do? Like, what's your outlet? First of all, how important is it to have those things? Let's start with that before you talk about what your hobbies are. How important is it to even have those in your life?
I think it's paramount. My outlet used to be, before COVID, that I used to travel. So like that, it didn't even have to be anywhere like in particular, like anywhere special, just changing scenery. So a lot of times from North Florida, I'd come up here just for a weekend, just to get out of the space. It paid like major dividends, feeling something different, getting a different vibe, and then going back, it just kind of helped re-energize me. So I absolutely, but now what I do, man, listen, I'm a lifelong gamer. I'm not ashamed of it. Nobody's gonna make me feel bad about it. I had an Atari, I had a Nintendo, I had a Super Nintendo, I had a PS3, I had an Xbox, and now I went back to PS4 and then PS5. But yeah, I'm a gamer. That's what I do. Hunt, fish, and stuff like that outside. But my main hobby that I don't have to do anything but just go and sit down and hit that button.
Sounds like you're keeping yourself pretty busy. What about you, G?
Hobbies are very important. I think it's a lost thing on this generation. I think a lot of guys younger than me don't have any hobbies. Me personally, I do a lot of hiking. I run a lot of obstacle races. And I also do like combat sports. So I like to go to boxing gyms. I'll go to jiu-jitsu. I used to wrestle, so I'll call up my old high school buddies, and a lot of them coach teams. So I'll go in there and roll with some of the young bucks. So, you still need to do something to compete and kind of keep the blood flowing, things like that. As an older guy, you want to try and keep those things going.
What about you, Nick? You do anything?
I guess I hit the gym. I don't know if that's a hobby.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's not a hobby.
Fail.
It's like everything is like I used to. Like I used to hit the boxing gym years ago, and I ran like little stuff like little 5Ks and stuff. But lately, no, I haven't been doing anything.
So why do you find that? Is it time for you as well? Is that, or is you just?
I don't know. I don't want to use time as an excuse because people make time for things, but I guess I just don't fit it into my life.
I had this conversation with a few of my buddies not too long ago where I had no drive or no desire. It was time, but also I had no desire. In fact, I hadn't been in the gym for like over a year and a half. I used to kind of work out all the time, and I just stopped working. I just stopped. Like no drive to do anything. My excuse was a bit different though. I'm a lot older.
Let me throw something out there.
Yeah.
With his generation, what I think it is with them is that a lot of times when a man has hobbies, they're shamed. They'll shame you for having hobbies or hanging out with the boys, things like that. So this guy's a gamer, right?
Yeah.
If he says, hey, I play video games all day, people immediately think, okay, he's young, he's lazy, he probably just sits around smoking weed and pushing buttons. Like that's how they see it, you know? He goes hunting or he goes fishing, things like that. They automatically attest like a stigma to it. I think like the younger generation, when a man has hobbies and he hangs out with other men doing those things, they immediately kind of attach a negative connotation to it.
Is this one of those things where your generation calls everything lame?
I don't think they
That's
call
lame,
things
you go
lame.
fishing.
Maybe like gaming or something might have like a bad look, but I don't think there's anything wrong with gaming. Like I'm pretty sure you done got your life set up. Like you comfortable. You could afford to sit and play games. I feel like I can't yet right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll probably feel bad if I sit and play games like that because like shoot, I need to get my life together. Yeah. So I feel like if I game for an hour or two, it's like damn, I just wasted that. I could have, you know what I'm saying, did something else. You know what I'm saying?
There's a stigma and a shame behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're saying in terms of the drive and the ambition and having that self-reflection to say, hey, you know, that's great. But at the same token, what we're talking about here is the fact that we need that outlet. We need that hour or two. If it's 30 minutes a day for you, if it's something we get away and we go do once a week, once a month, hell, I'm trying to get back to where I can golf once a month. Again, that's my outlet, but I think you should be able to do that and kind of balance it all out.
It's actually the exact opposite with me. So it's not that I have everything together. It's not that I have a bunch of time. What I do with the game is, as opposed to like wanting to go out, spend money and do other things, that's something I can do at home and I'm comfortable doing it. And it allows me to be able to, you know, like stay grounded, stay focused, and not go out and blow a bunch of money and kind of like, you know, just kind of, you know, blow off steam without having to go anywhere and do anything. And it's been a real important part of my life.
Should we, as men, go out of our way to create something that gives us a channel and an outlet?
Absolutely.
So what does that look like for everyone? For me, I'm kind of like you, but I haven't gotten there yet to where I'd love to just travel a whole lot. Yeah. I prefer experiences over things. But one thing I do enjoy, man, is a nice round of golf. Yeah. And I used to play a lot when I was in Tennessee. I was in the league. I played every weekend, probably played twice a week. But here, I don't think I've, played in forever, right? And every time I drive by a course, I'm in the car all day long, as you know, for what I do for work. I'm going from appointment to appointment. And I'm always driving by a golf course, and every time I drive by one, I'm slowing down. I'm looking. I'm all feeling sad. I'm looking at one guy playing a hole. I'm like, man, he chunked that ball. So it's something that I think that I need so much, or even just getting together with the boys to just like hanging out, going to someone's yard, throwing some on the grill, just chilling, smoking a cigar, whatever. It's just something that I think that is so imperative, something that we need in our lives, and I think that it's not the kind of thing that you can afford not to have for our own sanity.
Do you think there's levels to hobbies?
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'm going to
answer the question. When I say that, I mean like there's some healthy masculine hobbies that men should have, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's other hobbies that they're hobbies, but they're potentially destructive.
Sure, yeah.
So I like to go hunt or I like to go fish. Those are hobbies, right?
Yeah.
I want to play around the golf all the time. Mm-hmm. I want to play video games all the time. Those are potentially destructive.
Why do you say that?
I mean, anything in excess is destructive, right?
Okay, yeah.
And immediately certain things have like a negative connotation to them and some other things may not, So I travel too much. Anything in excess is bad. Yeah. So are there levels to hobbies?
I guess so. I guess it's called a hobby for a reason. Don't let it become
an obsession
or more of a habit, right? Where it's like it needs to happen, or an addiction. As much as I love to be addicted to golf, I'm not. I mean, obviously.
In order to decompress, though, you need to get away, right?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like,
I'll become an obsession.
I have balance, even though I do have.
Do you? Like being real, bro. Because I'm
Sounds like you're
bro. I'm just be honest with you, bro. Like when I hear you talk. You work.
You're right. So I misspoke.
And you always say you have balance. I'm kind of like, wait a minute, Steph. I think we kind of need to have. We need to talk about that.
What I meant was in my desire and what I want to do. Right. Meaning that I will never let it get out of hand to where.
Oh yeah.
You know, I go golf so much that I'm not even going to my appointments. I'm not working. I'm spending too much money.
Unless you become the club pro, right?
And that's not happening, right? So, you know, and that's just reality. You don't decide at 50 you're going to be a pro and then do it. But in that sense, you're right. I don't have that balance that I'd like to have, but I do have that balance in terms of like making the decision for me to say, yeah, I need to golf once a week. And if I don't, I don't. I smoke cigars. I'm like you. I'll go 6, 7, 8 months without smoking a single cigar because I, to your point, should find time to at least go sit on my deck, pull out a cigar and just breathe, just relax. I don't even get to do that. Shit, I bought this golf simulator thing that I can just hit off my deck. It's been in a box for 6 months. I haven't even taken it out of the box.
Wow.
Right? So like I need to be able to do these things, but I don't find time. But to answer your question, I know for me that it would never get to a point where it's destructive or it's taking time away from family or anything like that. But we do need to create time for ourselves. Otherwise, we implode.
Should we sacrifice time with our family or doing other things for ourselves, for our hobbies?
I don't think it's a sacrifice. I think they should be just able to make time for it. And I don't know that I'm qualified to give advice. I can only tell what I'm doing. So for me, my responsibilities for my household and my family come first. So the hobbies are being sacrificed. When I get to where I need to get to, I'm headed back to that. I had it at one point, lost it, but I'm headed back to that. But once I get there again, I know for a fact that, first of all, I enjoy spending time with my wife. It's not a sacrifice. We enjoy the same things. We have a good time together. She's gone to the golf course. She doesn't play golf, but she'll go there and wear the hat and be cute and drink. That's perfectly fine with me. I love playing soccer. I want to go back to playing in a league once a week or whatever it is, one evening, because usually those guys play at night. Again, these are things that I can go do, but never at the expense of spending time with my family first.
Right. One of the things I wanted to ask G, because I think you brought it up, and if I'm getting ahead, you always let me know I'm getting ahead of myself.
No worries.
So if I'm getting ahead of myself. So what's the balance between having an outlet and escapism?
That's a great question.
Because for me, when I talked about travel, a lot of times, like I was using travel, it was a hobby, but it became like, let me escape this reality for a while and get out of this environment. But, you know, like they always say, like, you know, when people say you drink or you get intoxicated, your problems are going to be there when you get back. So I had to, you know, try to figure out a way to like, okay, let me not, you know, spend so much time away that I'm not actually like dealing with the things that I need to. So that's why I just kind of wanted to pose that question to you guys, like or even you, G, or Steph or Nick.
To me, that's an interesting question. But my personal philosophy as a man, I don't believe I should be happy. I think men that focus on being happy all the time.
Damn, that's deep.
That's not what a man's supposed to be. You know, you shouldn't be in a continuous state of unhappiness or fear, but you should relatively be living in like a state of contentment.
They taught you that at Paris Island, bro?
You shouldn't be happy. I know, like a happy man is weird. It's weird.
A happy man is weird?
Yes. If you're around a man, he's just always focused on being happy. People that focus on being happy, that's how you get into drugs and alcohol and women and sex and all that type of stuff. You start getting into degenerate stuff, trying to focus on being happy.
Okay.
You know, you should just not be in pain and like a continuous state of dis-ease, you know?
G, I'm concerned.
What's that?
I want to unpack that. I want to talk about that. So now you're saying happy as in like carefree, footloose, no responsibility. You're like, I'm not holding or ownership. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that you shouldn't experience some fleeting moments of happiness, right?
Right.
You should be able to play basketball with your son and really be happy in that moment. You should enjoy that, but you shouldn't spend your life seeking to just be happy, right? Like women say, I just want to be happy. Men shouldn't say that, you know?
Really? Relating to the Constitution, life, liberty,
and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, pursuit of happiness.
Right? You should be pursuing happiness, but you shouldn't sit there and be happy all the time.
Right. Never reach it.
Wow.
But like, I'm interested in what
continuous. For me, conquest is continuous. You should never get to a point where you're just happy and content, and that's just the way it is. That's not how life's supposed to be as a man. Women are supposed to focus on happiness. Children are supposed to have focus on happiness. Men, we should focus on being proud of ourselves and achievement and trying to accomplish things. You know? And if you need a little bit of stepping back to recharge some escapism, like you said, that's okay. But you shouldn't focus on, I need to do this to be happy. I don't believe that's how you're supposed to live.
That's a very, very interesting take on it.
Think about what I'm saying. When you hear a man say, I just want to be happy, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be happy. Don't you think that's strange?
Sure, but
doesn't that sound weird?
I've never heard that, by the way.
Okay.
Right?
You never seen a man say that?
Nobody I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's a man that I know personally that I'd be in conversation with. I'd be like, I just want to be happy. I don't know. There's for some reason you say that?
Yes.
So
I do.
Let me say what I mean, right?
Go ahead.
Maybe it's because we don't open up to each other enough that we don't say that. But also it's because I've never heard that as a complete sentence. There's more to it. They'll say, here's what I need in order for me to be happy. It's not, I just want to be happy as a concept, and it's just wide open. So, for instance, I want money to be out of the way. I want to have enough that I don't have to think about it anymore.
Right.
I want to make sure that I have my health. The people that are closest to me, wife and kids, they're healthy. I heard Jim Rohn say this once, and I love that. He says, I want to build a financial armor around my family that is unbreakable. Now, you don't need $1 million a month to do that. You can do that very comfortably on 20 grand a month. Some people barely crack, 40, 50 a year. You could do really, really well, depending on where you live in the country, right? With 20,000, 30,000, and do extremely well where you're not thinking about money, especially if it's passive. You're not having to go work 80 hours a week for it. So I want to be able to do what I want to do with whomever I want, whenever I want. So
Let's unpack what you just said, right? You said, hey, in order to be happy, I need my health. Relatively speaking, for the most part, you're in decent health, right? You can function, you can move and everything. You're good, right? So you have your health.
Can I correct something?
Go ahead.
And if I said it, I want to correct it. I didn't say in order for me to be happy, I need anything external. Mm-hmm. What I said, if we're going to talk about being happy, at least here in this incarnation, not to dive into the spiritual, but I will say, I don't need anything outside of me to be happy. But if we're going to talk about the happiness in the sense that we're speaking of it here on this planet, living as human beings, I have certain things that I would chase in order for me to be content, happy, and be in a place where I'm satisfied. I'm not going to chase forever.
Satisfied and content is okay.
There's a conquest. So I disagree with you on one thing fundamentally.
Go ahead.
Right? When you said the joy or the happiness itself is in the pursuit, I get that. When I'm trying to achieve something, maybe if I want to be a pro athlete, maybe if I'm trying to be successful in business or anything like that. But in terms of how I live, if I could just pay all my bills off and all I have to pay is taxes on my property, I have passive income coming in. I have my health. My wife has her health. I'm not battling. So the health is important to me because that's the one thing I really can't control. I could control it to a certain degree, but
I got you.
Yeah, I can't.
But what I'm saying is you're describing happiness and contentment. You're not describing happiness. People that want to be happy, like I said, they get into things trying to feel that all the time, right? Feeling content and okay, everything's good. Nothing catastrophic is happening. That's different than I want to be happy all the time. You're constantly chasing a high when you're looking for happiness.
Is that what we're saying though? To have those endorphins and oxytocin? That's not what we're saying. I don't think anybody's saying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you shouldn't be chasing happiness. I mean, it's okay to be content. It's okay to be good with what you have. Actually focusing on trying to be happy all the time.
Being in a state of euphoric bliss.
Yeah.
Well, no,
everything's incredible. Everything's interesting and exciting, and it's
that's a weirdo.
Like, that's a weirdo.
Yes,
no one should be like that.
But what you just broke down, brother, what you just said, right? I'm going to piggyback off of that. I think that more men, but especially black men, need to get in the space of we deserve to be happy, man. And it's not like it's not a chore. It's not an indictment, and it's certainly not a knock on us as men for wanting to be happy. For us to be able to have the basic accoutrements of life, a roof over our head, clothes to go on our backs, food on our table, our health, our family doing well. You can put a smile on your face because of that. For example, I'm watching you interact with your daughter here, right, in this space.
Yeah.
Your daughter, who was once your little baby, was sitting across from you and you're podcasting and she's helping you and, she's a part. That has to make you happy.
It's euphoric.
You get what I'm saying? Or even looking out the window and seeing your wife out there with maybe some of your relatives out there in the yard doing what she wants to do, right?
Trying to get your 2 salads. I like that.
Get your 2 salads.
All this for 2 salads.
Right. So what I'm saying is like, bro, like yes, someone who wants to be like like jovial and just like carefree, fancy foot and carefree, like all the time, right? I think that yes, because I think even in The Godfather, I think he's talking to Michael. He says that you can never be careless. Men can't be careless. Women and children can be careless, but not men. And I've always taken that, we can't let our guards down and let things go undone. But I think as much as we can, we need to try to find a way to carve out a space in our lives that exudes our happiness.
Well, it's because of that tension. It's what you just said. It's because of that tension.
Right.
This is why we need that space. This is why we need to escape every once in a while, because there's always tension. Like you just said, I look out the window, I see my wife, thank God I'm not over there working on, working on the garden right now. But that makes me happy. I watch my kids and I'm very joyful in these moments, and I can live like this forever. But to your point, there's always a level of vigilance that we are still kind of watching, because we have to, right? It's kind of like that sheepdog who has to watch the flock to make sure nothing's coming to harm any of that.
And I'm not saying you're not going to have those moments of happiness. You're going to experience happiness over the course of your life, but trying to consistently live in that state. That's my point. You shouldn't try and live in that
But G, I want to share something with you, man, because I like that you're expounding on your point. I want to share this with you guys, man. There was one time I was living in a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house. I had a pool. I had a man cave. I had a BMW and a Ford F-250 King Ranch in the driveway. Like Pastor Troy say, I got up in the morning and my hardest decision was what I was going to drive that day, right? And couple $100,000 in the bank, and I was miserable. I remember I went to the bank one day and I put a check for $100,000 in the bank, and I felt nothing. I wouldn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel I felt nothing. And so I think that, like, when we talk about escapism, I had a deeper problem that was manifesting itself, that was festering in me, that caused me to be in that state. And I had to go and unpack a lot of things and figure out what was going on. How you get everything in life, like when you said, right? Mm-hmm. I had, and you and I have a lot of similar values. I see we have a lot of similar values. Mm-hmm. I had all that, and I was miserable, but it took, like, to me in my spiritual journey, God taking away all of that, living in a room, sometimes living in my car, not having money in my pocket, having to go into hotels to eat continental breakfast and then making another plate to take with me to eat later that day, right? To understand how to appreciate when I have certain things. Mm-hmm. And because of I was able to develop that level of appreciation, that's where my happiness came in, because I realized I don't need all of these things to be happy. I just need these basic things along with like basically those things that you said to truly be happy.
So I love that you said that. And I actually thought about this, because if you had asked me 15, 20 years ago, what would make me happy? Mm-hmm. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
First of all, I am. Next step for me really is that financial armor.
Security.
Yeah, it's just getting to where you're creating something that cannot be taken or ripped away from you.
Right.
And you have that security for your family. And
right.
I want to be able to spend a lot of time with my family.
Right.
Which means I don't want to be trading time for money anymore. I don't want to be working 80 hours, 90 hours a week and to not see them to provide that. Right. So I'm working on some other things right now behind the scenes where I can create that security for them and working 20 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And
is that happiness for you, or is that happiness for them?
So I don't know. I think me and my wife talk enough that I think we have the same. We talk enough about these things. Like I said, when
it's making you happy because you feel like you're providing for your family and they'll be okay. It's like Christmas for me. You got my kids. I got my kids, my cousins, my grandchildren, stuff like that around, handing out presents to everybody.
The joy is in the giving for you.
I get socks.
Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah.
I don't need anything, but everybody around me is happy.
Yeah.
Right. And as soon as all the presents are done being wrapped and all that stuff, all the presents are opened and everything, I'm ready to go back to work. Like I was happy in that moment, but I'm ready to move on from this moment. I don't live in happiness. I don't live in that blissful state. Everybody around me is content and happy. Like, I don't think you're supposed to be happy all the time.
I can give an opinion, but I'm not qualified to dissect it any further than that. I can tell you that I believe that there is a point once I check certain boxes, checked a few already. I've got a few more to check. I can be in that state. I'm not going to say that I'm going to live in that state permanently. But overall, if you look at the overall person, when we say, is someone happy, is someone miserable? Miserable people have happy moments, right? You have people who are absolutely the worst. They're always miserable. Everything's always negative, but yet they experience happy moments. But overall, that's a miserable bastard right there.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to be the opposite. I want to be a person who experiences sadness, ups and downs, sickness, and everything else. Sure. But overall, when you look at my life, I am a happy person who's working on a few extra things. And maybe it's because I'm older to where I know exactly what it takes to get me there.
So how do you prepare yourself, or how can you avoid being miserable once you get to that point of like success or close to it or something? Like how you had everything and you was miserable. So if you could go back, do you think there was a way to avoid feeling like that while having all that stuff?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you for that question, because that is a question that I had to answer within myself that I believe has allowed me to now be happy. And that question was, why am I doing what I'm doing? When I was 20 years old, I was on my way to class. I remember this plain as day. And it was like cold in Tallahassee. Like, I don't know if y'all been in Tallahassee, but Tallahassee cold is a different type of cold. Anybody listening to this that's been in Tallahassee, the Tallahassee cold is different. In the spring, it's cold.
Tallahassee, Florida?
Florida.
Tallahassee,
That's
Florida,
what we're here
Tallahassee,
laughing like.
Florida.
Man, you're not in Florida, right?
Yeah. But listen, listen, man, I'm telling you, man,
It's next to the water, so it gets cold.
Is that why?
but hey, listen, at that point, I
grew up in New York, dude. What are you talking about?
Right. But hey, at that point, I had not lived in Georgia, because these two, man, listen.
I see what you mean. Coming from Florida.
Right.
And then you were in Tallahassee, cool.
Right.
You're like, yeah, that's great.
So I was on my way to class one morning, and I was like, man, fuck this, man. I'm about to go to Waffle House, get me some eating. I'm about to go get back into bed, right? And then nobody like cares class. And I saw one at that time, like that $80,000 Benz drive by through the red light, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna go on to class. Like, I'm gonna get my degree because this is what I want. I got a chance to work with attorney Benjamin Crump. Man, I saw the first day I worked with him, I saw what his watch was like. I saw what kind of car he was driving. I saw what kind of suit he was wearing. I just saw all of these things, and I thought, like, man, that's what I want. Like, I saw the house he had. I saw the wife. I mean, all the things that he had, I was like, these are the things that I want. And I went and I pursued those. Like Willie Gary. Have you ever seen that movie, The Burial, with Jamie Foxx? Mm-hmm. Well, it's about Willie Gary, very successful lawyer down south. But these are the things that I thought I wanted. So I just chased this stuff. Like, I want 757 like him. I want the Wings of Justice. I want, these things. This is what I want. This is happiness for me. And what I wound up realizing is, man, on my way to these things, as a lawyer, chasing ambulances that's just not what makes me happy, right? So fast forward to today, after all of that's over, and now all the dust is cleared, and everything. Here I am in this new phase, after the ashes and everything. Man, I get up every day and I'm focused on health equity outcomes for African American males in our community. I can work on that all day, all night, whether I get paid or don't get paid, and I'm more fulfilled than when I've gone to court and gotten a jury verdict, because I never lost a jury trial, murder cases, all that stuff. I feel more fulfilled in doing that. Our barbershop talk, I was more fulfilled that day when I walked out of that barbershop talk than I ever felt fulfilled walking out of a courtroom.
Wow.
And that's real purpose. Like I said, with you being 27, you're in that point now where you're about to really start to figure out who and what you are as a man, and what makes you really truly happy, and what your life pursuits need to be. So have grace with yourself, but always, if you're pursuing purpose, when the money comes, it's an added bonus because you love what you do. But when you're doing something strictly for money, man,
you get the money and then you still feel miserable because the money doesn't fix what's broken inside you and the issues that you already have.
Yes, sir.
One of my favorite movies of all time, Avengers, they ask Thanos, okay, you're going to do this. You're going to get the stones. You're going to destroy half the universe. And then what?
I'm going to look onto a grateful universe or something.
Yeah, he goes, then I can go retire in my little cabin, grow my plants, and watch the sunrise on the grateful universe. Yeah. If you ask me what's going to make me happy, is to sit around a campfire, watch my kids, watch my grandkids, my wife, and we're cooking in a very modest home, plenty of land, and be able to just enjoy those moments. Take my guitar, hang around the campfire, or maybe learn how to ride a horse, go down the creek and fish a little.
Do you think your wife would love that man?
Yes. Yes, because that man is who she has now. We're just trying to get to these things. That man is who she has now. We're clear on that. I know what the direction is because I know what I want. She and I talked about what we want as the end goal. Are we going to travel? Sure. Am I going to still run a business? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit around and do nothing but that. $50 million in a bank account. We're not going to sit around and be useless. That's the way I would look at it.
Yeah.
Still purpose. My drive and motivation, which is one of the reasons that I considered joining the 100 Black Men, is because my true calling is to give and mentor young men. I'm writing a book. I'm going to put that out. My core audience is young men from the age of 11 years old to about 20, 25 years old. Why? Because I want to focus on these gentlemen. I want to help them understand that. I want to pull the veil so they can see what's behind the curtain, because there are opportunities I didn't ever thought about doing, from entrepreneurship to sales and things of the sort. I want to basically show them this, and I want to go to the worst parts of the country, the inner cities, and where these kids have, like, there's only one dream for them, and hopefully they make it in sports. Otherwise, they're screwed, because they're certainly not chasing academics the way they should. And I want to show them some alternatives. So I do have those desires, but I'll enjoy doing that. I'll do it for free. This podcast, I've had someone ask me when I was first started doing it, before I even started, I say, hey, I'm going to do a podcast. And one of the main reasons for doing it is because I think we come on this platform and we sit down and we happen to be more vulnerable. I think it's therapeutic for a lot of us. I've had people sit here and cry. I've myself had shed some tears. We have these conversations. And the question I was asked by a buddy who still doesn't support the show, but basically, hey, how are you going to monetize this? I said, if I make money, I make money. If I don't, I don't. He goes, well, if you don't make money in a year, you're going to keep doing it? My answer was, yeah, I enjoy doing this. Dude, I want to do this. I've had people come through and they were like, for the most part, everyone who leaves here, they were like, man, I'm grateful that I had this conversation. This helped me. It helped put a new spin on things. I got some things out of my system. So would I still do that without getting a single dime out of it? Absolutely. I'd keep going and do it for free until my soul desires not to do it anymore. And then I'd stop. What I don't want to do is be a slave to working 80 hours a week for somebody else's company and chasing them. I have my own company and I'm working on building now. And once it's done, 90% of what I do is going to be passive.
Back to what he was saying about success. I think what you guys said as far as like finding a purpose behind it. A lot of young men don't know how to find a purpose, trying to find what they're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. But I would say until you find that purpose, you should just chase achievement. People say, I want to be successful, but they can't really define success. I would pick things you want to achieve. You want to get your license so you can start driving trucks. You want to make a certain amount of money a year. I would focus on achieving those things. And in that, you'll find your purpose. You'll find what makes you successful.
I would have to agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are all like nebulous terms. I want to find my purpose. I want to find success. Like those are like nebulous, all-encompassing terms.
And also the commonality of life of all of us. All of us came from a woman, and all of us are going to return to the ground eventually. So everything in between that, right, is up to us to find like which way we go. But that commonality of where we start and where we end lets us know that we have a beginning, a finite period of time in which we're going to exist, and we have an ending. And so when we think about it in those terms, that's how when people say success is a journey and not a destination, this is the most just apt that you're going to be as a man, given all that you have towards being the best version of yourself. And in that, take time, do things that what do 20-year-olds do now? Do things that 20-year-olds do while you're still in your 20s. Because before you know it, you'll be 35 and you'll be like, where did my 20s go? And then you'll be having your 40th birthday party. So like we talk about hobbies, don't feel ashamed. Enjoy. Don't be in a rush. Take your time and enjoy as you're going to fulfill your purpose, man. But like you said, like definitely reach for the stars, man.
Get you some hobbies.
So speaking of get you some hobbies, and since we're circling back to that, why aren't we doing more of that? Why aren't we doing a little bit of an escape or just something to just kind of help us? I call it keeping my sanity. I don't just go fucking blow up on somebody. Is it the pressure to be productive? Like, what is it?
Yeah. We're shamed by society for having hobbies. We're shamed by ourselves for having hobbies, and we're shamed by the relationships in our lives for having hobbies,
You think so? Because I don't know if I've experienced that. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I guess maybe
you tell yourself you're too busy, you got too much going on, I'm not going to take the time to do what I want to do for me, right? So you're shaming yourself because you should be doing something else. You could be more productive doing something else. You shame yourself.
Some of your meetings could be on the golf course. Could they?
No.
They can't?
Not in this particular case.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
I got you.
But I see what you're saying. I guess it's when I hear the word shame, there's a parallel to, am I embarrassed about this particular thing? But I know what you're saying now. So I appreciate you clarifying, because You're right. I'm judging myself very harshly as to.
You know, that GOAT conversation that we had in the barbershop about Kobe and Michael and LeBron. And when we talked about Kobe and that mama mentality, man, about how he just worked. And I go back to this. I remember that story when the Redeem team, when they were out in Vegas, how LeBron and those guys were coming home from the club at 4:00 in the morning, and Kobe was in the lobby with his gym shoes in his bag, ready to go to the gym to get to work.
Yep.
And it's like truly achieve what it is that you want. Like you want that. It's going to take that level of sacrifice, right? But even if you ask Kobe, even if you ask Michael, I guarantee you, man, as much success as they had, I guarantee they would go back and say, man, there were times that I would have taken a break or that I would have taken time. If Kobe didn't know he had that much time left, would he have not taken more time with his family, more time with his daughters? Or I think he's a prime example of someone who sacrificed a tremendous deal to be great. And then the moving finger decided that he was going to leave Earth before any of us thought that he was supposed to. And now that's time he can't get back. And we'll ask Kobe now, if we could, Kobe, was all that worth it? Would he still give the same answer that, yes, 5 rings and me being a great basketball player and arguably the greatest of all time, was that worth all the sacrifice you made when you left this earth? I think that'd be a question that I'd love to hear the answer to if we somehow could.
You know, what's interesting about everything you just said, we talk about just like how much time we have left. Do take time for your family, do take time for yourself, etc. And when I think about that, because I have contemplated my own mortality at times, more as of late, only because of how many people that I've,
starting to lose people.
Yeah, you're starting to lose some people. And, some of them are younger than I am. So then I'm just like, I think about that. My only concern or my biggest fear is not, man, I need to take more time for me. It does the opposite. So what it does for me, it tells me to go faster and harder and do more, because I'm not comfortable yet with where my family is. So if I leave them, I haven't done enough. So instead of me saying, I need a break because I don't want to croak, I'm going, shit, I need to go harder until I get to where I feel that they're okay. Then I can take my foot off the gas.
But do you see the fallacy in that?
Of course I do. That's what I'm saying. That's my biggest fear. And I understand how warped that mentality is, that mindset is.
Can you
like
find
Nick
some
said earlier,
productivity in your hobbies?
I used to be able to do that.
Let's say we go to a golf course. You, me, we Nick, everybody. We all step off to the golf course, right? We could be on the golf course, hitting balls, having great conversation, talking about business, talking about our families, talking about parenting, all these same conversations. But out on the golf course, decompressing, having that good time, and you're getting value out of those conversations. You're getting value out of that decompression, that time away.
You telling us, I'm gonna go play golf with you guys, but you guys got to bring me 20 hot leads that when I leave this golf course, I can call them all and they'll listen to, what it is that I have to say.
Or I give you some advice on how to expand the podcast, or you give him some advice on how to be a better lawyer. There's value in that camaraderie and interacting and those hobbies together, But we never take the time to do that because, like I said, we shame ourselves and we're shamed by society for coming together, having those moments.
Very good point. Yeah, I could see how that would be beneficial.
But we used to do that. Like when we used to go on, like we was in a tribe, we would go hunting, we would knock down an antelope or a buffalo or whatever, and we'd sit around a fire at night and we'd talk about parenting. We'd talk about our relationships with our wives and spouses before we dragged the buffalo back to the clan.
Yeah.
We would have those moments. We'd have that get together. We don't do that no more.
For me, being a part of a fraternity, and there are times where I won't go around the bros for months because, like you said, I don't feel like I'm performing up to the level, or I don't feel like that my goals and the things that I'm doing, I deserve that time to be able to go hang out with the bros like that. But every time I go around them, I feel energized. Every time it's not been one time I've gone around them and I've not been poured back into it. So I feel like we have to take advantage of what we have, man. Some people do church, or some people do the mentoring. Like when we go to our mentoring sessions, I'm always made better for going to our mentoring session. Sure. Me and the kids, they do more for me than I do for them, so.
I even used to use it as a reward, a metric. So for me, like when I was in alarm sales, I would say, until I get a certain amount in one day, I don't get to play golf. I used to do things like that, and that would push me, really keep me going. It worked, but it would drive me insane because, as you could imagine, there's many, many days that I got to 6.
Right.
and I didn't get to 7.
Right.
And by the way, the average is 1. It's a way to kind of drive ourselves more and more and more. But I'm not sure that the toll that it takes on us, it's worth it.
You remember that the tall tale that we have, that folk hero John Henry, where he decided that he was going to go up against the steel driving machine. He wanted to prove, you know what I'm talking about, Steph?
No.
So
John Henry, the steel driving man?
John
You
Henry,
ever
the steel
heard that?
driving man.
No.
So when they were laying the railroads, they used to, the men used to go out and drive the spikes. And there was this one man, John Henry, he was like 10 times the man, right? And he just drive a spike with one swoop. It was doom.
Is this a real story?
No, it's a folk story.
Okay.
So they came up with a steel driving machine. And the steel driving machine, they were bragging about it, like how efficient it was and how it could replace everybody on the railroad, right? And so John Henry said, well, I guarantee you, you set a time limit, I'll go up against the machine, and I'll prove that a man has more heart and can do more than a machine. So he goes up against the machine, and they're working on the machine, oiling the machine down, making sure it's whatever. And John Henry's just going. He's just going. And at the end, they look and they say, well, the machine lays, I'm just throwing it out there, they laid 3 miles of track. John Henry laid 3 miles and a quarter of track. But then John Henry's over there on the side, passed out with a heart attack.
He died. Yeah.
He died. He killed himself to prove
Yeah.
that he was better than the machine. And like, that's a folk story that we're told as kids. Pace yourself. That's what I got out of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
To kind of wrap it up, it's a 3-part question. What hobbies do you have? What do you plan on going back to if you've neglected those hobbies for a little while? And what would you recommend to people?
So with me, I game now, but I miss hunting and fishing, man. And when I say hunting, I'm not talking about like safari guy. I'm talking about, man, just going through the woods.
You shoot a deer.
With a 410 and shoot some squirrels out of the trees. Like that's to me, that's enough.
Yeah.
I don't need to go any deeper than that. And also fishing, man. Fishing has been such a huge part of my family and our history and our culture, who we are, that I want to actually pass that down to my son. But me being up here in Atlanta, I don't get a chance to, really do that. When I go back home, I'm in and out. So at some point, I want to be able to get my boat back and be able to take my son out there and my daughter and show them how to fish and show them all the things that my parents taught me. So that's something I really want to get back to.
Make a nice week out of it.
Yeah, man. Vacation.
Yeah.
It's like that type of thing.
I want to get with you one day and learn how to fish.
That's
I've
cool,
never
brother.
fished.
Let me know when you're ready. Now,
I know you're laughing right now.
I ain't gonna bait your hook, and I ain't gonna take your fish off. But I would definitely.
Well, I just need to know what I'm doing, just so
I got you, brother.
what do I.
I got
so
you.
it's not something I've.
I said I want to learn too. I heard it was real like therapeutic and
Yeah,
stuff.
there you go.
But I've never been.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, well, no one showed you this? I'm like, no, I've never gone fishing. Hey, keep in mind where I grew up, again, New York City. It's not something we did. Now, obviously, if you wanted to make time for it, you could. There's plenty of water out there, but never done it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely recommend fishing.
All right. What about you, G?
I still go out obstacle racing, and that's an opportunity to get together with a bunch of other guys. You can compete against them. They can compete against you. You have a good laugh and talk about it. My main thing as far as hobbies go is you should do hobbies that help you to interact and be social with people, and also give you the opportunity to run ideas by other men. Like, I think you should have male hobbies, I don't think there should be a lot of women around as far as the hobbies goes. It shouldn't be something that necessarily that your family participates in. It should just be something that you can do with you and your boys, and you can step back and get that advice, that recharge, that information that you want from other men, from what they're going through. You can talk about it, stuff like that,
Yeah.
I think hobbies is more of a communal social thing for men, what my point is. And I don't even think it necessarily needs to be anything extravagant. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, something expensive or anything like that. It's just an opportunity to get together, just sitting around on the deck fishing or
You ever read the book The Way of Men?
I have not.
I feel like you would like it.
Real quick, what's it about?
Basically, it talk about manhood, like our ancestry, like things that are just in our DNA. It kind of talks about it's okay being a man. Now, this generation, or just how it's been, they kind of make masculinity toxic in a way.
Men
it's
are
okay.
afraid to be real men.
Yeah, and it's all right to be a man. Like, it's in your DNA.
Yeah.
Back then.
That's what you are.
Yeah.
Is it The Way of the Superior Man, or is it
No,
The Way of
I know
Men?
that book, but it's called The Way of Men, yeah.
The Way of Men? I've never heard that. Okay.
What about yourself, man? What hobbies do you have or did you have? What do you want to go back to, and what would you recommend?
I want to go back to basketball. Basketball is something I always used to play, and I always talk about it like, man, one weekend I need to go out there and do it, but I just don't do it. And I'm in pain when I do it afterwards now. Yeah. But yeah, that, and like probably finding a boxing gym. and just getting back into that.
Aren't you a little young to be in pain after you work out?
Man, I don't know. It's like my body not the same. I always think
Not
that.
the same.
Listen at
If
him
you
now.
don't
Listen
use
at
it,
him.
you lose it.
You lose it, yeah.
Problem is
Yeah,
you're not
that's
using
true.
it. That's what it is.
As a teenager, I could play like 6-7 games outside in the sun, and then now after 1-2 games, I'm like, dang, these the same knees, is this the same ankles I had? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Health is wealth too. You know, you got to keep yourself up, especially when you're young. Start maintaining your body.
Yeah.
So by the time you're an old man like us, you know,
Please.
you'd be good.
Please, brother. Please.
It's crazy because, like I said earlier, I said, like, I haven't been in the gym in a long time. I just started going back 3 weeks ago. One of the biggest drivers for me going with my son, I take so much joy in, like, taking him to the gym. So now he's lifting weights, he's working out, and it's really, really cool. And I can't wait to see him start to transform. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see that. But the most important thing we got out of this conversation, I think, is just to make sure that we do understand that we are also a priority. I heard someone say it best. They said, you know, at the end of the day, when you come to this planet, you have one human that you're supposed to treat better than any other human. And it's the body you occupy. And as men, we don't do that. All right. So cool. Earlier today, who lost?
You didn't flip before.
Oh, shit. Let's flip now.
I'll go. I want to do it.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to pretend that we flipped a coin. We didn't flip a coin, but let's say you lost that coin toss, my brother. So, Dre, who are you going to be?
I am going to be President Barack Obama.
All right.
Let me know when you're ready.
Shit, let's go for it, man.
My fellow Americans, please support us by following the show. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Now, thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next week, where we share conversations surrounding real issues that we as black men and deal with every day. Manhood matters. Obama out.
Obama out. Let's go.